Um, so in today's agenda, we're going to go over a little bit of the process and timeline for the select committee submissions. Then we're going to look at preparing your submission, how to get it ready, what information you might need to find or look at. Then we're going to go through the how to make your submission. And then we'll have a look at some things that you can do sort of alongside or after you've written your submission on the legislation. We will have time at the end to go over questions if you're holding on to them, so we can do a bit of a korero around that, or you can answer them throughout the webinar. And using the Q&A function, Kylie will be monitoring those closely, and if there's any that we can answer live, we will do it, etc. Sweet. So first off, having a look at the path for legislation. So this is a really quick turnaround in terms of introducing the bill and then getting it through its second and third reading and it becoming an act or law. So it was first introduced to the House last week, and then at the end of last week, public submissions were open. They're only open for 3 weeks until the 17th of July, which is the Wednesday in the last week of the holidays. The authorization board, which is a big part of the legislation, is established or is being established, and it will begin the process of people applying and being approved for. I need to check this because this is what I copied from the thing, but it doesn't make sense to me.
But
So like the authorization board is basically established now, right?
yeah.
So that's it. They can start beginning the application and approvals process. I think maybe it's just the applications process. And then
Yeah, well, yeah.
um
Double check it with Fran. Hopefully she'll be back soon.
yeah. Once the bill is passed, it becomes like a statutory body, and then they can start awarding contracts. So those contracts would be negotiated and the new schools would start in 2025. I feel like I can just simplify this language and then it'll be less icky, right?
Yeah. Okay, members authorization board. No, so established. No, yeah, established and begins application and approvals process. I mean, we know it's going to go through. They've got numbers in the house,
Yeah.
so it's all yeah.
Okay. So knowing this really quick timeline and the ability that the government have to just push all legislation through, you might be asking, why are these submissions important? So what we really want to get is a diverse range of voices, and especially some strong voices, some loud voices, because they can identify issues with the legislation and hopefully inform changes. So it's not necessarily about overturning the whole thing, but it can identify some real problem areas that you can kind of highlight. You can give that expert knowledge. There's also sometimes the potential for a large number of submissions to significantly delay the process. We can't really see that happening in this instance, but if there are a large number of submissions, they do have to do their due diligence. All of the submissions also become a public record. So everyone that submits, that submission is made public on the parliamentary website. So we will have the receipts basically outlining the intense opposition, or it might not be opposition, but it's hopefully opposition to the law, to the legislation. And it's also an organizing action. So it's one thing that you can do in your branch that helps activate your members. It helps you understand the material, the content, the arguments, the resources, the research. It gives you a bit of an opportunity to understand that a lot better, and then you can lead those conversations in your schools and in your communities. So this is where I explain that we're not going to give them all the answers to what is in the legislation. But these
And
are,
how do they get these links?
I think I'm just going to share a link to this in the chat.
Is it on our website?
No. I didn't want to put it up until we have a recording of the webinar.
Oh, yeah.
But I can make a public link for this, like anyone can read this.
Okay.
Actually, that's a good point. Put slides in chat. I could even just make like a PDF that's like important links when making a submission.
Yeah, that's a good idea.
Okay, I can whip that up. So there's a regulatory impact statement. This goes over a lot of the, you've read one of these before, it kind of outlines some of the risks and challenges identified in legislation. They are quite helpful for you to kind of exploit. Is that the right word? There's also a link to the bill there that goes through all the legislative detail. But on our website, if you have a look at the Standing for Public Education campaign page, that has a lot of our like general opposition stuff. There is also this handy guide, which is called Considerations for School Boards, which is basically an information for school boards when looking at charterization or conversion. That can also be really insightful for members. Anything else you think needs to go on there?
No.
Keep it simple.
And just maybe reiterate that the information on our website is going to be continually updated. So as we go through the campaign, don't think that you've already read it. Keep an eye on your collective news, keep an eye on PPTA Facebook page, and as we move into different phases of the campaign, it's
Cool.
good to yeah.
I'm gonna skip this bit because I didn't do anything on it. It got too messy.
Okay.
Preparing your submissions. We've created a guide for members. This could be a question, maybe this could be like a question and answer bit where we could be like, do people have questions that they want to ask about the legislation? Or nah? Leave that till the end.
I guess so. If you're confident.
I'm not really.
I guess what we'll say is any unanswered questions will pop it up on the website.
Yeah.
We'll have some sort of FAQs on the submission process that came through from the webinars and everything else.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's Jack Boyle.
Yeah, it is, I know.
And I was like,
I
oh,
just
I kind of
noticed.
disguised it a little bit. Okay. So we've created a guide for members to write your submissions. It's really good. It just gives you a general structure and then some kind of follow-up actions that you can do. So it's about making sure that when you're making a submission that you're structuring your written submission in a way that's that you're communicating your ideas effectively and simply, and that it can be understood. And then also how to use this kind of beyond just the written submissions, how you can use it, like I said earlier, to form your arguments and guide those discussions. You can access that here, and I'm going to walk you through it now. So to begin your submission, you can go over this bit, you write on behalf of your branch, you can do it on your own, share your blah, blah, blah. Remember that everything's public. Then in the second part, I want you to identify what you're asking the select committee to do. You don't want them to burn down the government. Keep it achievable, keep it realistic. If you've studied the legislation, you might have specific issues with it. Cool. Details. Give your reasoning. Keep your language factual and prudent. I might put a link to the action station guide here too. And finish off with what is at stake. So this is kind of like your rousing end, blah, 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 blah. Once you've written it, share it with us. Right? Once written, share. Then you can make your submission via the Parliament website. Here's a link. This needs to be done by 11:59 on Wednesday, the 17th of July. I might take this out. We encourage members to opt into making an oral submission. This is the part where you can give greater context. I need to fix that. Some key things about making an oral submission. Cool. I've done my submission. What do I do now? Activism doesn't end at the select committee. As I have said multiple times, this should also be used as a campaign tool in your community. So I feel like I'm repeating myself.
No, that's fine.
Okay. So once, obviously the first thing you should do is make an oral submission. We'll also be keeping an eye on the submissions when they happen. So if we know who our members are and what they're when they're making submissions, we will have eyes on and celebrate it, use it for social media and stuff. So you can also use your submission, so share it with your local MP. There are a number of MPs on the Education and Workforce Committee who are regional representative members of Parliament, and we highly encourage you targeting them. Especially some of those backbench MPs who are just towing the party line. Should talk to someone. We have an activity called The Thing where you talk to 6 people, and if at least one of them does something, then amazing. And then you're gonna do the branch resolution against charter conversion. Please do this. Excellent. And that's